Sign me up, baby. Greetings, everyone. I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here. Today, we are doing something a little bit different, trying to see how you folks feel about getting some content for these events. I used to do them on stream and stuff, and the reception was lukewarm. Some people really liked it. Other people really didn't care for it. So I thought, what the heck? I'll see if I can maybe take advantage of you folks here on YouTube and maybe provide some content that's useful as well in the meantime. Today, we're actually going to be playing in the Singleton event on the client that's going on right now. So you're gonna look at this deck and go, man, this is pretty vanilla, John, and it kind of is. But I wanted to make content for those people who just kind of want to get into the event and get on with it, get it over with, and get out, sort of thing, right? You want to get your wins, and to be honest, I kind of had this idea a little bit late, so this video is going up a little bit late. I'm afraid by the time you folks actually get to see this video, the event's going to start winding down already. So you may or may not have a lot of time. So I put together a Singleton list, because again, this event is going to be Singleton. The event is called Festival Rise of the Obscura. And in this event, every time you attack with a creature, you connive, which is a brand new keyword out of the new set. It basically lets you draw and discard. If you discard a non-land, you can put a 1/1 counter on your creature. So as such, we kind of want to be aggressive in this event. And naturally, if it's going to be Singleton, we're missing out on a lot of the really hardcore shut your opponent down synergies. But the deal is, currently mono white is just a really, really strong archetype. So I figured we'd put together a mono white deck and take it out for a spin and see how we do. All right, folks, here we are up against Warrior TSR. Good luck, Warrior TSR. And yeah, we had to take a mulligan there. I actually got the recording started just a little bit awkwardly, so it didn't go quite as well as I had hoped, but that's okay. Like I say, we keep a fine hand, and we are into the games. We go with a Plains, then another Plains. Warrior TSR goes with a Tenacious Underdog. It's questionable because Sungold Sentinel can actually get rid of the Tenacious Underdog if it's in the graveyard, but we decide, you know what, if they want to trade it away, that's also fine because we have a pretty aggressive hand here. So we go ahead, get down, or slam in, put a counter on with A-Luminarch Aspirant. Our opponent, now looking at the board, says, yeah, we're done. Folks, you can kind of expect some of these. So GG, opponent, GG. All right, folks, here we are up against Nasty Objects. Good luck, Nasty Objects. And yeah, so that last game, very quick, but, and admittedly, we're going to leave a few of both the wins and losses out just because we're trying to kind of just show you what the deck wants to do, sort of thing. Not necessarily show you every single game, because you're going to get some of those really, where your opponent scoops really early, or there's no reason for you to continue because your opponent gets so far ahead. This conniving is a very, very powerful ability, and particularly, it's going to benefit you a great deal if you're on the play. The first one to attack is going to get huge, huge benefits. So in this case, our opponent gets to attack first because they had a 1-drop. Cursebound Witch starting to connive already, growing their creature. We had to go with Reckoner Bankbuster on 2, which does not attack on its own. They crash in, we drop to 16, put a Plains into play, and trying to decide if we're supposed to, we could Ethereal Escort here so we could crew up the Reckoner Bankbuster. But, you know, I'm actually... we're trying to break that chain of the opponent just attacking in like crazy, right? And we're trying to get them to spend their mana and all that kind of thing. So then we're just going to plan on Valorous Stancing the Cursebound Witch. The Mokutai Soul Ripper, actually kind of annoying here, because it is immune to most of our removal, and we don't know how soon it's going to be before they activate it. So, like, we elect to just fire off the Valorous Stance now, right? It is what it is. But similar to our Reckoner Bankbuster, the problem with the Soul Ripper is it can just kind of stash away counters on it and be immune to conventional removal, you know? So, pretty annoying, but it is what it is. We're going to go ahead, Ethereal Escort, put the lifelink on Inquisitor Captain, and crash in. We can put a counter away if we want, or we could just discard a land. We elect to do that because I think the quality of draws is going to be more important than a couple of counters, because we're already a little bit behind on board, right? So, here we go. We go ahead and Eiganjo and pass the turn. Nasty Objects flips their creature, and going to be able to activate the Mogutai Soul Ripper right now. All this is kind of awkward, honestly. A little bit definitely behind. We're about to try and make things even more awkward when the opponent crashes in. And then we pass the turn back. Sure enough, yeah, they're taking their sweet time, folks. Remember, this gameplay is sped up by a good chunk, but boy, Nasty Objects is being very, very deliberate about their attacks and blocks and all that. So we just go ahead, slam the Inquisitor Captain, and get Inchblade Companion. Not the end of the world, but also not amazing here. So we're going to crash in for 7, put the counter on to Ethereal Escort by discarding Homestead Courage. But hold on, wait, no, darn it, oh, ow. Yep, a little bit awkward here. We were thinking about putting the lifelink on A-Luminarch Aspirant because it's likely to grow, but then we started rethinking it. No, it would probably have been better to put it on the Lion Sash, because the Lion Sash can grow all on its own, and there's already quite a few permanents in the graveyard and stuff. I do think it was a slight error to do it this way, but it still kind of works out because theoretically the Lion Sash could go on the A-Luminarch Aspirant. So either way is fine. But upon, you know, making additional considerations, it was probably better to go the other way, right? That said, we pass back the turn. We now have quite a bit of lifelink happening here. Oh, crud. Demon's Disciple going to come down and make everybody sacrifice a creature. They, of course, sacrifice the Demon Disciple itself. We consider and then discard the Companion. Our opponent should have had full control on, because then they could have crewed up the Soul Ripper all on its own, right? But they didn't, so no big deal. Opponent Soul Shatters away our Captain. Again, just a little bit awkward, so we go Luminarch Aspirant, Lion Sash, and we try and decide, but we elect to, no, you know what? Let's go ahead and just put the counter on Ethereal Escort. As it turns out, we want to spread the love as well. It was definitely up in the air whether or not we're supposed to give the Vigilance to the Ethereal Escort, because it both would have been an extra damage, but then it also would have been able to block. But we wanted to be able to crew up a Reckon or Bankbuster, and we wanted to spread the love. If our opponent has targeted removal, we don't want to give them any easy options. And of course, we knew about the introduction to Annihilation, and we're kind of expecting them to fire it off, and in fact, they do. But we are holding a real secret weapon here with the Suntail Squadron. A land drop in hand means our grip is just going to be full of these birds, which can both be connived away and added to the board and do the conniving, right? Remember, it does put actual cards in your hand as opposed to like copies or anything like that, right? Mokutai Soul Ripper going to crash in. This is a lot of stinking damage, folks. Opponent trying to decide if they want to give it Menace, because they do want to get the damage in. The problem is we're already, getting kind of aggressive here. We've already got kind of a lot. And the fact that we can gain life and stuff makes things really awkward on our opponent. Now, we start doing our math and everything like that, and we're thinking about just firing off the Suntail Squadron because we weren't going to attack. Then we thought, no, you know what? Let's just attack. Let's make them sacrifice the Curse-Bound Witch. We also get a draw and discard because of the Connive. Get rid of the planes, right? Opponent, of course, going to chump because we are presenting lethal, so they kind of have to, right? We go to 15. It was tempting. Let's, maybe put some counters on the Lion Sash. But I think it's better to just fill our hand with the Suntail Squadron and make things awkward on our opponent. We have essentially infinite non-land cards to surveil away, or I'm sorry, connive away. but we also have roughly infinite flyers to get in at Nasty Object's face. Now, admittedly, they are attacking in earnest here. They have a Hive of the Eye Tyrant that can be activated. The Mokutai Soul Ripper is roughly, 30 power here. Not quite. It's, currently 7 power, but it feels like 30 power, right? And we're only at 15 life. But we are at 15 life. That's still a lot to chew through. Our opponent electing to stay aggressive. I don't blame them. I think they're trying to play to win as opposed to play to not lose, So, again, folks, really taking their time. Nasty Objects, considering every play. One of the reasons we have the gameplay sped up on these videos, is sometimes opponents can be very, very deliberate indeed. All right, little conniving, opponent empty-handed. It's not really improving their hand at all. Of course, they elect not to discard Sorcerer's Broom, or sacrifice Sorcerer's Broom, because they need a blocker, and they elect not to sacrifice the Memory of Toshiro because that's how they're crewing their Soul Ripper every turn. Well, shoot. Okay, I guess that does it. We draw Fateful Absence off the top. Nasty Objects finally allows it to resolve. We're going to Lion Sash enough permanents and kill them because they're tapped out with no cards in hand and no creatures either. Our opponent does not get the message, so we just crash in. I mean, yes, apparently I could have exiled one less thing, but honestly, I expected them to concede. They didn't. Whatever. GG, Nasty Objects. GG. All right, folks, here we are up against Chewick. Good luck, Chewick. Uh-oh, here comes Fearless Pup. Well, shoot, folks, that's unfortunate. The first strike is a bit awkward here. When I was looking at our hand, I'm like, man, we're a little heavy on lands, but no big deal. We have a 1-drop. We're going to be able to get on the board early and loot all these away, but shoot, no, our opponent is off to the races already. It doesn't make any sense to just chump block here, so we, holy crud, draw another land. You're kidding me right now. Briefly consider the Homestead Courage, but oh my goodness, another stinking land. You got to be kidding me. Oh boy, this is brutal for sure. But we're able to boast, make a dude. Opponent has a hasty 3-2. Oh my goodness. Obscura Emblem doing the conniving. Not great. We do a little blocking with the 1-1. Do the Homestead Courage this time. Give it a little vigilance. Oh my goodness. Finally starting to improve our hand. We do a little boasting as well. Our plan this time is trade with the Berserker if we need to, do a little chumping, but we've, we've kind of outcarded them a little bit, right? Because we've been able to, cast these multiple things and just chump block to keep our life total relatively high, right? Opponent does connive onto the other creature. It was actually kind of fortuitous they did that thing. So we Expedition Supplier, get a utility knife, we Hopeful Initiate, come on down, and oh boy, things could be turning around here. Oh boy, things are not turning around here. A Hasty Phoenix is absolutely disastrous for us. Gets +2/+0, and it is now a 4/2. Obscura Emblem scrying onto the first strike creature. We're like, holy crud, I guess. No, we don't want to block the Hopeful Initiate, do we? I guess we kind of do, right? So we drop to 11. Opponent makes a land drop and passes. Well, okay. Elspeth Resplendent. Here we go. The beginning of the comeback is happening now. We're going to go with Vigilance so we can both attack and block. Remember, we get to connive a little bit. Unfortunately, we still have to just keep binning these lands. Thank heavens for the conniving because we've binned all these lands. But unfortunately, our opponent's been able to add... Oh. Well, shoot. GG, opponent. GG. All right, folks. Gato Nero is our next opponent. We're going to go with Chaplain of Alms. This is a great, great card in this event. Not only does it have first strike, so it carries these Obscura counters very, very well, but it also has wards, so it's difficult for our opponent to interact with. We are briefly considering discarding the Paladin class, but elect not to. No. Let's go ahead and keep that around because we might be able to use it as filler in the future turns. Oh, crud. Our opponent goes to Lotus Cobra after our fencing ace. Do a little conniving onto the Hound. Discards a land, so no counters. We take our 2 and call it a day. Crash in. Of course, we're putting the counters on fencing ace, naturally, because holy crud. Counters on double strike. Sign me up, baby. Yeah, opponent drops to 12. A plains, and Brutal Cathar comes down. Gets rid of Lotus Cobra. Yes. Sign me up. Hellhound gets a +2/+2. Arachnoform gives it reach, but the +2/+2 goes away. It's only until the end of turn, right? So we just play Paladin Class, level up Paladin Class, crash in. Of course, we connive onto the fencing ace. You guessed it. We're going to be giving a counter here. It is now a 4/4 double strike. Gato Nero does decide to chump, takes 6. And has a miracle? Does not, and concedes. GG, opponent. GG. We are back, and Bobo, we had a great time. I recognize, folks, this video is a little bit shorter than normal, but again, it was put on kind of on short notice, but I also want to keep these relatively brief, right? I did a very, very brief deck tech in the beginning of the video. I want to go over a few of the key cards for those of you who made it this far. Keep in mind, the Disturb mechanic and the Flashback mechanic, very, very strong here, because when you're conniving, you can discard these and still be able to cast them back. So, cards like Chaplain of Alms, just really nice, because you can discard it as a 1-drop, you know, if it fits properly in your conniving, or cast it. And it's got First Strike, which is a very great combat ability, particularly when you're getting 1/1 counters, and Ward, so it's difficult to remove. Despite being pretty unassuming and not making a lot of decks, it's pretty key here in this deck. Homestead Courage similarly. The fact that we can discard it to get a 1/1 counter and then flash it right back, very strong. Being able to get on the board early, pretty important here. So we do want a lot of 1-drops, and in fairness, it's possible this deck could use another couple. So if you were thinking about doing that, I wouldn't discourage it at all. Captain Eberhart, if you've got the Mythic Wild card or one sitting around, very strong here. Double strike, of course, exactly what the doctor ordered. Similarly, Fencing Ace, and then Illuminator Virtuoso as well, because of all of the conniving that just happens. Yes, there is not a lot of targeting that can happen on Illuminator Virtuoso, but that's just flavor text. That's gravy here. We can target it with something like Valorous Stance to give Indestructible, or the Homestead Courage if we're fortunate. But even if we never target it, it connives on its own because when we attack, right? So I would definitely be looking out for those. Similarly, like Warhound, very strong. Professor of Symbology, giving us access to a wish board, very strong. Sungold Sentinel, just being a powerful attacker when you're on the play particularly. There's a strong strategy in this event where you just concede if you're on the draw. Like, if you're legitimately just trying to get your wins as fast as you can, concede on the draw, right? So when you're on the play and you go land 1-drop, land Sungold Sentinel, you're attacking for a lot. And the next turn, this is going to be a 4/3, because you're going to discard, it doesn't matter what, to make this a 4/3. And you're going to be chewing through your opponent's graveyard, which, again, we've already pointed out is a very strong thing. Similarly, the Ethereal Escort, kind of strong because this event does encourage you to be racing. Everybody wants to be attacking here. So normally lifelink it can be a good ability, but it's at its best when you're in a racing situation. You don't want to gain life against the control deck because the control deck doesn't care about your life total. When they're ready to end the game, you could be at 12 or 50. It doesn't really matter. The control deck's already got you, right? You want to be gaining life against, like, whatever, mono red and stuff, right? Because in the long game, you're going to get them. So Ethereal Escort, both having lifelink and granting lifelink on attacks and just when it enters the battlefield, means you will have a real advantage in those sort of matchups there. As far as the rest of this stuff, we're pretty aggressive, but we cut 24 lands because we're doing all this conniving. So we can get rid of lands as we need. So since we're on the 24 lands, we have a few of these larger things that we can cast. You could, theoretically, go lower to the ground. If you wanted to cut some lands, I recommend do not add anything at 3, 4, or 5, or whatever. Just add more 1-drops. You could do things like Archpriest of Iona, the Code Spell Cleric. You could do even Battlefield Raptor. These cards really could belong in this deck if you really want to commit to being aggressive, and I wouldn't blame you if you did. That's a very strong strategy in this event. As far as the rest of it, let me know how you folks feel about these little videos about the events. I'm going to try and get something out for the next couple as well, because in fairness, I really like the arts and things, so if I'm going to play them, might as well give you some content for them. Just let me know, and we'll go from there. That said, you folks have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all next time.